Good evening. Oh, hold on a second. That's better. Oh no, I've got a crack. Is it a crack? Yeah, it's a crack in the screen. Hi. Yeah, but I'm a bit upset, like, because Netflix have brought out a new Star Trek. You know about Netflix new Star Trek? And they've got new Klingons in Netflix Star Trek, which I think is a little bit disturbing. Don't you think it's a little bit disturbing? Why do you think I'll wear a hat? You think I'll wear a hat because I'm bald? No, I think it's very disturbing when you've changed the entire Klingons now, haven't you? And made them all sort of like, look like plastic stuff. No ears or no beard. They don't drink alcohol and stuff. The whole point of the Klingons was they were love getting drunk. Most of the Klingons are drunk all the time. Anyway, about the Klingons, you see, you know, the history of the Klingons. And I couldn't get, well, you know, Kahless and all that stuff, yeah? Well, you ever heard of Worf? You ever heard of Worf? He was a brilliant Klingon warrior. Worf he actually was brought up by humans about Worf. Worf was actually, let's have a chat. Worf was brought up by humans on planet Earth, sort of thing. So he actually was in Star Trek The Next Generation when he was very young. He was about in his 20s, I suppose he was. Anyway, in the end of Deep Space Nine, he was like Commander Worf. You know, they put him, he came in Deep Space Nine, because Worf actually, when Enterprise, the series sort of like finished, he joined Deep Space Nine. And that was before the Borg. That was just before the Borg. He joined Deep Space Nine. Because that was just before the Borg invasion. Do you remember the Borg invasion? In Star Trek, it was Star Trek First Contacts, wasn't it? And the Borgs invaded planet Earth, and they completely took over planet Earth in the year 2000 sort of thing, you know, and the computers completely took over the planet sort of thing, and the Borg took over the Earth. I mean, that would never happen, would it? I mean, that's a bit silly, isn't it? The Borg assimilating planet Earth. Guess what? It's already been done. Haven't the Borg completely assimilated planet Earth? Like, really, haven't the Borg completely assimilated planet Earth? I had a great idea for a Star Trek story. Like, is Rick Berman still about? And Jerry Taylor and Brendan Braga. You're brilliant, guys. Because, I mean, I do remember you ever done one fucking some nut job who don't know nothing about Star Trek to do it? It's crap, isn't it? Alright, I was talking about the Klingons, wasn't I? Well, let's talk about the Klingons first, then, right? You said that, you know, do you remember in Star Trek Enterprise? I was with Brendan, that's right, Brendan Braga, that's my name I was thinking, Brendan Braga. Jerry Taylor and what's your name? Rick Berman. That's right, Rick Berman. And then they did Star Trek. They were actually Did you know Rick Berman and Michael Piller? They were sort of like students of Gene Roddenberry, actually. It was Gene Roddenberry who actually did Star Trek The Next Generation. We did Star Trek, obviously. But it was Gene Roddenberry who also did Star Trek The Next Generation as producer. But it was actually Rick Berman who sort of like who was the first sort of like the first sort of like main producer sort of thing and stuff with Rick Berman and then it was Rick Berman, Michael Piller and stuff, and Jerry Taylor in Voyager. Oh yeah, no, Jerry Taylor joined in Voyagers, didn't she? I think because it was Rick Berman and Michael Piller did Star Trek The Next Generation with Gene Roddenberry until Gene Roddenberry died, obviously. Gene Roddenberry actually died about a couple of series into The Next Generation because it was Gene Roddenberry's Next Generation of Star Trek. He was. It was Gene Roddenberry's Next Generation of Star Trek, right? Okay, yeah, I snuffed it, sort of like a couple of episodes in, probably, I don't know. But, you know, Michael Piller and Rick Berman carried on Star Trek Next Generation after Gene Roddenberry died, with Patrick Stewart and all the other cast. I can't fucking name names, you know. But what I'm saying is like, sort of like they carried it on completely. But the Klingons, have you ever seen Star Trek Enterprise? I'm talking about Star Trek Enterprise. And actually, fucking brilliant. Brent Spiner. He did the Ninian Sung bit. He did this, not Ninian Sung, it's Sung, Dr. Sung. Yeah, because you know Data, you know Data in the Next Generation of Star Trek. Yeah, you know Data in the Next Generation of Star Trek. That's Brent Spanner. Brent Spanner. Ben Spanner. I can't remember your fucking name, man. By the way, he did Ninian Sung in the Star Trek Enterprise. It was Enterprise, yeah. Enterprise is set like sort of like 80 years before. It's set just before Kirk's Enterprise. You know, maybe 8 years, something like that, before Kirk's Enterprise. But it was beautiful what they did with the Klingons, because at the beginning of the Enterprise, the Klingons were like they were in the Deep Space Nine. You know, the normal Klingons, like they get in Deep Space Nine sort of thing. Yeah. And what happened was that, in Enterprise, Brent Spiner was Dr. Sung, who was sort of like some kind of, he built the, what were they called, Khan? What was Khan? Khan was a sort of like superhuman, that they sort of like fiddled around with DNA and they made sort of like superhumans. Anyway, the Klingons got hold of the virus, of the, they got one of the fetuses of one of these, what are they called, superhuman things that they had, because the war, didn't they? Was it not the cryogenic war? I'm probably the cryogenic war. I've been frozen for years. I said, I'm probably the cryogenic war. I've probably been frozen for years. Brent Spiner, that's right. Brent Spiner, he did the, he played Dr. Sung. And then, what were they called? These, special evolutionary and speeded up humans evolution. I can't remember what they're fucking called. What's the word I'm looking for? You know, the superhuman DNA, and that's where Khan comes into it, in the Wrath of Khan. And in actually, Ricardo Montalban, I've lost my chest. I've lost my chest. But Ricardo Montalban, he played Khan in the Star Trek series Space Pod, was it? I can't remember what it was fucking called now. But it was, you know, he played Khan. But he was Khan. I watched that one of them remake Star Trek movies once, and I threw them away after it. But, you know, I was watching this one of these remake Star Treks that says, I am Khan. I says, no you're not. You're a little white bloke trying to play Sherlock Holmes. What a lot of bollocks. Khan. Now, Khan's Ricardo Montalban. Space Seed was the original show. Space Seed and Star Trek. That's on Netflix as well. What's Space Seed on Netflix, right? If you want to know about Khan, watch Space Seed on Star Trek on Netflix. And then you can watch The Wrath of Khan, and then you see how it carried on. Anyway, yeah, but after Star Trek Deep Space Nine, yeah. After Star Trek, told you this time I know better. Star Trek Generation Line. After that, you had Voyager and Deep Space Nine, but I made a film about this already, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it's about Klingons a bit, wasn't it? Because like in the Netflix Star Trek, they've completely changed the Klingons. They've got no ears and they look like they're fucking, I don't know, they look pathetic. And they completely changed Klingons because they don't drink and don't smoke. What sort of a Klingon don't smoke? What sort of Klingon don't drink? So why do I wear a hat? Good point. Yeah, I'm going thinner. We're not going thinner actually, it's just going backwards. It's quite nice. Shit. Drop the tongue. I'm still working. That's great. That's good. I thought I was going to fucking break the camera there. Did you see that? That was dangerous, wasn't it? Let me take my glasses off. Benson says, yeah, because in the in the was it Star Trek? Oh God, the Enterprise. The Klingons mixed the superhuman DNA sort of thing into their bloodstream, so they lost their riches. Kind of like, and they lost their riches, and it took about 30 or 40 years for the Klingons to grow their riches back, because they got really flat heads, didn't they? At the end of Enterprise, at the beginning of Enterprise, they were like that, the riches sort of thing, and then they lost their riches because of genetic engineering. Genetic engineering, that's what I was thinking. All right, let's give you a slow motion demonstration. Well, you're not smiling. Are you smiling? You don't look like you're smiling. Are you really smiling? Are you? Let's get to the core of the matter, shall we? Let's get to the real core of the matter. Are you smiling? I want to get to the real core. This camera is completely in the wrong place. I'm looking at it like that, trying to find out where my face is. I should be looking at the centre of the screen. Is the camera on this side then? I've got to try and see where I'm looking. Find the camera. If you put the why don't you put the fucking camera in the middle of the screen so I can see what I'm filming? I always go like this all the time. I don't know, something's weird with this technology. Not great. Let's see what it looks like as I look into it. This is what I see, right? Hello. Do you know anything about Klingons? I like the hair. Yeah, that's right. What do you mean it's alright? Looks alright? What? No, the hair's alright. Are you sure? I don't know. Yeah, I like it. Oh, why? Do you know anything about Klingons? Oh, good. I feel better than What? Don't know nothing. What? I said, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing at all. Right? Well, early stages. Working on it. You all come out in this town. So I don't need makeup. Let's get to the core of the matter. I really don't need makeup. Early days. Working on it. Ba 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 ba. Ah, never mind. I like playing with it. It's nice faces. Do you like playing with your face? No, I will play with your face. Good. It's really quite incorrigible. It's disgusting. I don't want to play with this face, it's horrible. I'm a monster. I didn't like it, it's not very nice. Another one. This one's not good enough. This face is pretty shit. I'm not fucking happy with it. This is a piece of bloody crap, but what? You're talking to me.
really hard on something, am I turning you on? Wanky, wanky, up and down, wanky, wanky, up and down.
I don't know who that was. You think Jekyll and Hyde had it hard? Put yourself in my shoes.
No, really, you got a nice penis. Can I have a look at it? Sorry. Scratch his head. Scratch. Scratch.
Really sweet. Do you hear about that twat who went into a fucking Photoshop first and he couldn't look up something on Google or something? And they said, what were you looking for? He said, naked children. I thought, you sick fuck. You sick, stupid fucker. When I was in Australia, I went to festivals, like Confest. Do you remember Confest in 1990? It was just outside of Melbourne. It was sort of like one of the, somewhere between Melbourne and somewhere. It was somewhere out in the forest sort of thing. And we had Confest in 2000, 1999, wasn't it? It was New Year's Eve. In fact, it was New Year's Eve, 1999. Do you remember Confest in Australia? I can't see, put my glasses on. Do you remember Confest? In 1990, Australia, and someone built a Stonehenge out of cars. We actually had cars, and some, sort of knackered out cars. And some guy built a fucking, it's true, some guy built a fucking a circle of cars, of knackered cars, and we danced, and sort of like a bit like Stonehenge, but everyone was naked at this festival. Serious to God, families came to the festival, their children were naked, they were naked, everybody was bloody naked at this festival. It was 1990 Australia, everyone was fucking naked. You get all this child porn and all this fucking sick shit. I don't watch any of it, obviously, but I used to go up to the mountains with a family, in his white Volkswagen van. Mike it was. I think it was Mick. I think it wasn't Mick. I think it was Mike. English. I don't know what. He might have been Australian. I don't know. It was Australia anyway. And he, his family, he had his daughters and sons and all that. And we used to bathe. We actually used to the whole family, and me and my mates. We all went up to this mountain, and we used to sort of bathe naked, literally stark bollock naked. We used to sort of like lie in this fucking hot spring. It was like a hot spring. It was on some sort of like mountain in Australia in a sort of like, God, this must be 1990. And the whole family, everyone, mother, girls, boys, whatever, everyone was stark bollock naked. And we were all sitting there in the springs just going like, oh, this is lovely, because it was hot. Because it's very hot in Australia, and it actually heated up this sort of like pool, and we were all fucking just sitting there, stark bollock naked, man. What is this shit? There's nothing to play with before puberty. Admit this. For all these kiddie fillers, whatever. I got accused of being one once. Have you ever heard the story? Watch the films. Before puberty, there is nothing to play with. Is there? There's no spunk, is there? No. You cannot do anything physically before puberty. The hole's too small. After puberty, fuck it. Do what you want. Before puberty, kill them. No, I mean, don't kill the kids, but we kill the people who are fucking watching this fucking shite. This kiddie fiddling shite. I've been accused before. There is something very wrong with people who find children sexual. There is nothing absolutely nothing sexual about children. Before puberty, before puberty, there is no sex between children. Let boys be girls, let girls be boys, let boys be boys, let girls be boys, girls be girls, whatever. Before puberty, there's nothing there. There are no tits to fondle before puberty. True? Before puberty, there are no tits. Or don't straight guys like tits? I mean, physically, don't straight guys want tits? But children do not have tits. Little girls do not have tits. And little boys do not get hard-ons, really, and they don't have spunk. I said little boys do not really get hard-ons, do they? And they don't get spunk coming out of their willy. What possible use? Their brains are excellent. Children's brains are fucking... I'd eat their brains. I do eat children's brains, I must admit. I do love eating their brains. But actually, before puberty, before the teenage years, there is nothing there. Boys and girls are basically the same. Before puberty, boys and girls are exactly the same, basically, except one's got a willy and one's got a hole. But the willy's a bit floppy and the hole's too small. Right? So what is the fucking problem with this kiddie porno shit, fat crap? What is wrong with you fucking people in the fucking head? There's something fucking seriously wrong with you in the fucking head. How can you possibly equate sex with children? How can you put that to... That's stupid. Children do not have the organs. Children do not have titties. And children's willies are very small. You have to wait till after puberty. When the sperm flows, sex is great. But you can't really suck a cock until the sperm flows, can you? Honestly. You cannot suck a cock if there is no hard-on, can you? I've got plenty of nephews to hug me and nieces to hug me. I get all the hugs I want, you fucker. But I'll kill you. Alright? Okay. There is no organs. You don't have the organs before puberty. The whole point of bar mitzvah, the whole point of bar mitzvah is that bar mitzvah is when the child becomes an adult in body. The whole point of bar mitzvah is that is when the transition from the child to the adult occurs. Because for about a year or two, depends how long puberty, well, puberty usually takes about a year to start, you know. And then you go through puberty and your willy starts getting hard. And then your willy starts, this white stuff comes out of your willy, you see. That is exactly why we have the bar mitzvah. Because once the sperm comes through your willy, you see, and you spunk a lot because you get a hard on. You see, the point is, you get hard on when you go through teenage years. And then you spunk a lot. You see, when you're about 30, is it 13? I thought it was 14, but I was 14, basically. When I first did gay sex, I was 14. And it did take him about an hour. It took Andy about an hour to do it. But I was 14 when I first had gay sex with a mate of mine. 14 years old. I was 14. So, I mean, you know, that's why you have bar mitzvah, is that's the transformation from a child to an adult. Before bar mitzvah, I'll kill you if you touch a child like that. So before bar mitzvah, I would kill you if you touched a child like that. I would, personally, I would. I quite enjoy it. But after bar mitzvah, once you've got to puberty, that's when you can have sex. And that you take responsibility after bar mitzvah. You see, the point of a bar mitzvah is to take responsibility for your adult life. isn't that precisely the point of having bar mitzvah? Is that when you go through bar mitzvah, you stop being a child. That's when is it 13? I think 13, 14, something like that, 13 or 14, in Judaism. And then you stop being a child, and well, you're still a child, you are still a child. You keep your childhood, stay a child, always stay a child. But that's when you go from childhood to adulthood. Because when you're 13, 14, it's usually when you grow your bollocks and spunk a lot, you see. So it makes perfect sense to have bar mitzvah, yes. I'm not a Christian. I have never been a fucking Christian, all right? Okay, as long as we understand each other.